Kia ora tātou. In today's headlines, politicians are urging the government to pay heed to the Waitangi Tribunal report on kohanga reo. The tribunal ruled the Crown breached the treaty by effectively assimilating kohanga reo into early childhood education rather than treating it as a separate entity. Labour is endorsing the tribunal's recommendations for better funding of te kohanga reo, and the Māori Party's Te Ururo Flavel highlighted the need to protect te reo.
They had suffered on the notion that one shoe fits all. The Early Childhood Centre looks towards purely educational outcomes, whereas the kohanga reo is about education and the preservation of te reo Māori. They had to have qualified teachers according to the state criteria, whereas the kohanga reo movement has always been a whānau-led organisation.
Legislation enabling the government's contentious charter schools policy has passed its first hurdle. MPs have voted 63 to 57 in favour of the first reading of a bill amending the Education Act, which allows private interests to invest in schools. Fisher and Paykel's independent directors recommend shareholders accept Hire's new offer of $1.28 per share, up from $1.20. Hire already has a 20% shareholding and says the second largest shareholder and a few others have already accepted, meaning it will gain 50% stake at least. The Babies and Booze Youth Awareness campaign was launched today in response to survey results showing that 80% of New Zealand teen pregnancies are alcohol exposed. Christine Rogan of the Fetal Alcohol Network said youth want to know the reasons behind the zero tolerance message.
We actually have to tell them why it's important. When you see young people that kind of get it, so the baby can be born looking okay and have 10 fingers and toes, but it could have brain damage. Okay, we need to understand that.
An independent commissioner has declined an Auckland company's bid to take more water from the Poriti Springs in Northland for bottled water operations in Asia. He noted the Māori landowners had refused to allow the required monitoring equipment to be installed, and also pointed out there's no proof there'd be enough water flow to provide for Māori cultural use. A Christchurch reporter who covered the Pike River story has won a top journalism award for the book she plans to write about the disaster. The Bruce Jesson Prize for Investigative Journalism commends Rebecca McPhee's reporting on the mining tragedy as it unfolded. Rebecca says the story needs to be told, but not for her personal gain or professional recognition.
That's certainly not my purpose. It's such an important story. Yes, it's absolutely about understanding and empathising with the loss that the families have suffered. Such a complex story and with such wide-ranging implications for a lot of industries. I think it's not just mining. I suspect it will justify over time many books.
The Green and Labour parties are calling on pro-life group Southlanders for Life to abandon their planned protests against DHB abortions. It comes after staff at Southland Hospital's new abortion clinic and members of the Abortion Law Reform Association received threats. Our bid to be among those at the top table of world affairs will be answered very soon. The United Nations will elect 5 new non-permanent members of the Security Council overnight, and New Zealand has applied for one of those seats. But an international analyst doesn't rate our chances. Dr Paul Buchanan of 36th Parallel told Nzone Focus that other applicants could be deemed more suitable.
The competition is extremely hard, particularly in the case of Turkey. Turkey needs to be recognized as the emerging great power that it is.
A group of asylum seekers has turned to piracy off the coast of Sri Lanka. They've attacked the crew of a fishing boat. 3 crew drowned, but a 4th was rescued. The refugee pirates are believed to be headed for Australia. President Barack Obama and his Republican opponent are back on the campaign trail after their second spirited debate. The President, Governor Mitt Romney and their running mates have fanned out across political swing states, each trying to convince voters that his side won Tuesday's debate. And finally, a world disaster report by Red Cross shows last year was the most expensive in a decade, with 336 events totalling around $446 billion. Japan's quake and tsunami disaster topped the list at around $256 billion, while Canterbury's 2 major quakes cost a combined $21.6 billion. Ka niwena karere matua mai te whare korero o rima, mauri ora.